what is going on, guys. So let's get into it. So coming out of COVID in, what was it, 2021, 2020, I was grossly obese. Grossly obese, okay? Not quite 300 pounds, but pretty close to it. Like the mid 280s, 290, somewhere in that range. And it was not a good sight, okay, guys? And it has taken a lot of work to get where I am at now. Um, and I kind of just want to share some of the things I have learned to get to the point where I'm at now. So, uh, we'll just say 290. We'll say about 290. It's 290. And this is a lot of. So here's some things. At that weight, I can speak to from experience. Low self-esteem. Okay. Um, uh, Low self-confidence. Not a lot of discipline, right? These are like the attributes of somebody that weight. And I differentiate self-esteem from self-confidence in this way. Self-esteem is what you think of yourself. Self confidence is your confidence on your ability to affect the external world. So esteem is internal, like how you think about yourself and how you interact with yourself, and confidence is how you interact with the outer world. In both cases, they were shot. Obviously, anyone that heavy lacks discipline. And some of the things one of the first things I did was I turned into Alan Roberts. Okay, I'm a big fan of Alan Roberts, and I gained a lot of knowledge from him. A lot of knowledge that I've incorporated into my core habits. Okay. So here's some interesting facts. This is a big issue. I think this is an issue that plagues a lot of people. So let me list out the nasty of people who are overweight. Right. So first of all, 74% of currently, and this number is probably a little low. 74% of people are overweight. 50% of people will be obese by 2030s, and 80% of people will be obese by 2050. Okay, I got studies to back all that up. I think I read obese people, 80% of obese people eventually become diabetic. Okay, I know somebody who's obese that died from a skin infection, so I know that's a thing. Increased cases of cancer, because cancer loves sugar. Increased cases of heart attack, inflammation. This one I know for bad body odor. And I never had this issue, but I know some obese people do. Hemorrhoids, and I believe that's from all the constant eating and what they're eating, right? So these are some of so being heavy is not good. Being heavy is just not a place you want to be. Okay. Some other statistics I have learned on my journey. So I've had a hard time finding the exact number, but the number I came up to is that, and we'll use twice a week. People who lift weights twice a week on a consistent basis. That means year after year after year, it makes up about 5% of the population. Okay, that's not a very high number. So 1 hour 20. And I think this number should be higher, but I think it's going to get lower as time goes on. So the biggest thing that I learned from all this, from getting that heavy, is, now I've always said I am not unique enough to be the only person that thinks this. No man wants to be 300 pounds and have a weak ass erection. Okay, no man wants that, and yet that was the state I was in coming out of 2020. Okay, that was the state I was in coming out of 2020. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be spiritually. It's not a good place to be mentally. It's just not a good place to be physically. Okay, and I felt like I had failed uh, my mentor and the people I came up with. Now I originated from the good-looking loser form, and if they had seen me in that state, I would have been rightfully reprimanded. Okay, it was just not a good place to be. Okay, so I really felt spiritually I had failed too, getting that heavy. Okay, um, and the funny thing is I knew the answers. I knew what I had to do to get out of that hole. Right? I knew the solution. I knew the solution. I just lacked the discipline to get out of it. Okay, I lacked the discipline to get out of it. Okay, and the solution, guys, to really get that six-pack body, that massive 8-inch erection, is simple. It's really simple. You gotta lose weight and use the bath mate. That's it. That's really it. Now I have a 3-step process to get this ball rolling. But I want to explain what the ball is first. So what I recommend, guys, what I really recommend is I originally I called it the bathmate lifestyle, but that doesn't quite capture the what I'm actually tackling. So I've changed it. What I really recommend is what I call a scheduled lifestyle. Okay, guys, a scheduled lifestyle. That means that I'm sure you've heard this term with money. You when you have a budget, you tell your time. You tell your money where it's going. It's similar in concept. You tell your time where it's going. You scheduled out your time in blocks. Okay, this is a concept that I got from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This was recommended to me long ago by Chris from Good Looking Loser. In fact, he had a blog post on this. It was not a very, I'm going to be honest, it was not a very good blog post. It was very, I'm going to say there's just a lot in this book that was skipped over in that blog post. And because he used this book, like, how can you use this book to get laid? I think there is a lot more powerful lessons in this. So this, I guess you could say, habitually, this book underlines everything I'm talking about. So I'm going to be making reference to this. So, I suggest you live a scheduled lifestyle. And this scheduled lifestyle needs to be churning out 3 things. Okay, it needs to be churning out 3 things. 1, you are building the body, right? You're getting the 6-pack, getting the big erections. Your body is being transformed into what you want it to be. It's going to be a lean, mean fighting machine. That is part of this scheduled lifestyle. Okay. The second thing, and all these goals come from Chris. The second goal is you need to be banging babes. Okay. Now there's not really a lot of people I recommend watching. Only Scotty. He has a channel, GLL Scotty. He is the only one I really I actually shouldn't say. I recommend Andy Wells too. Andy and Scotty have very 2 different. They come both from Good Looking Loser, but they have very 2 different. Let me put it like this: Andy deals with a lot more of the mental side of it, like the positive thinking side of it, and taking action. They both are on the taking action side. Scotty is all in the real world. Andy is real world and online dating. And I don't know which one he is currently doing more of right now. I know he's very big into Tinder. Scotty is not into Tinder. He's into the real hunt. The hunt. He likes to hunt. Um, both great guys, both come from that world. For that type of more broad discussion, I recommend those two, Andy Wells and Scott. Um, what I like to talk about though is more of systems. Okay, so so you want to get the six pack, you want to get the 100 lays, and you want to get the $1 million in cash bank account. Okay, that's what this. That is the thing I am trying to talk about, right? Um, Derek from No Plates, No Dates is in that world too, but he focuses way more on fitness now than any of that. Um, so these are the things that this as we go into this um, are core to my message, core to what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna talk about a very scheduled lifestyle, okay, that is trying to get all this accomplished. So basically, guys, my day is really split up into two parts: pre-workout and work. Okay, and we're gonna really talk about work from the perspective of like someone Alex Mosey. So, literally, I go to the gym in the morning. I do my workout, and then the rest of the day is learning and implementing marketing. Okay, at what I would call my regular day job. Okay, and I'm gonna just share a single thought of marketing right now with you guys, and then we're gonna, because that's not really what this channel is about, but I want you to get this mindset, because this is a huge mindset shift that's going to really that can really be applied to this stuff. You need to stop thinking in terms of hourly wage or time and effort, right? Time and effort is meaningless unless you get the result. So really, you should be result driven. Okay, there's more money in it, and it also applies to fitness. It's not about the time and effort you put in the gym. It's about the results you get in the gym. And let me give you what I mean. If you're trying to lose weight and you're putting quote unquote time and effort in the gym, but your diet sucks and you just keep getting fatter and fatter, the time and effort doesn't matter. It's just the results. You got to focus on result-oriented thinking, not time and effort thinking. Society, namely, I don't even know if it's school. I think it's more of, might be school. Because, see, school you're graded, right? You want A's. So that's a result-oriented time thing. But when you get into the real world, a lot of the habit people is, I just want to get my 40 hours and I don't care. I just need to muddle through my 40 hours, right? That's a time and effort, right? I need to get paid for my time and effort. That's incorrect. You should only try to get paid for your results. If you fail at a task, you should not get paid. That's the attitude you need to take. Now, some of you might not like that, but the world rewards people more for being result-oriented in their approach than they do time and effort. Okay, time and effort is usually not going to get you to wealth. It's not. It's got to be the result-oriented, right? I mean, you need to put time and effort to get results, but so let me put it like this: if you put 100 hours in something and it fails, it fails. You're not going to get that money back. So that's why you got to make sure that you really drive for the results. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm going to really talk about on marketing today, because I think a lot of the things that they talk about in marketing really could be applied to the gym. It could be applied to dating. I think these three spheres: marketing, dating, and fitness, I think they interlock with each other in like a beautiful dance. And if you try to, if you all three come together, you become a really solid person. Okay, so that is the overall thought. I want you to go into this, right? So you got your three goals. We know we got to learn about marketing. We know we got to learn about dating, and now we got to talk about the system. And it all starts with this getting a six pack. You're gonna see how this all comes together in this gym. And we already talked about, like, first hit the gym in the morning and then market. Learn how to market in your job. If you have a job and they're not letting you market, start a side job, learn to market. This is the analogy I heard about marketing. This is why I really like it. And I know this is really about the fitness, but I really think this is gonna come into weeks later. This is gonna come in. Start your own company and use that company to just experiment with marketing, right? Just experiment with that company with marketing, okay? Doesn't have to. I mean, it will make money eventually if you do that. So, but have this mindset: results matter, not time and effort. Be result driven. So, now that we have the mentality in place, we know what we are trying to eventually build. Let's start building it. So the first step is the goal. Like, you gotta set the goal. You gotta, as that book says, you gotta begin with the end in mind, and you gotta know where you're at. So we're gonna use the fitness as a template for this, and you can use anything to get you there. So let's start with this. Let's see. Is the see if the site's up. No. Health weight range chart. Weight range chart. Okay, where's that weight range chart? Oh, good. The website's back. I like this website. I'm going to throw this into the chat. Cool. Okay, so that chart. Okay, sorry. Let me back up. I always forget the step one. So the first two things you need to figure out is what your height is and what your current weight is. Height and weight. Okay? So we'll use me. I actually don't know what my weight is. This was a vacation weekend for me, so I won't know to them all. But we're gonna let's just say 240. Let's just say 240. It's not 240. Let's say 240. Maybe it is 240. It was vacation weekend. So let's say I'm 240. Let's say, okay, and I'm 6'1". Okay, I'm 6'1". And if you don't know what it is, your doctor can tell you some of the old-fashioned scales, like the weighted scales, have a rule that will tell you. But get your height and figure out your weight. Okay. Once you got that, you're gonna go to this chart, and I'm 6'1", and let's just say I'm 240, right? And it says right here the highest I should weigh is 202. So I know that I am 38 pounds overweight. Okay, and that's how I actually came up with the 200. Like, I want to be 200 pounds. It's just a little under that, but so I know I have to at the minimum lose 38 pounds. I want to just make it a clean 40 just for easy conversation. I want to be 200 pounds, right? So I know where I'm at, and I know where I need to be, okay? And that is the first step. That is the first step. You got to lose 40 pounds because you're not going to be, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but chances are you're not going to be having a kick-ass six-pack outside of this weight range. So you got to get your weight into that range. So we know we have a physically measurable target that we're going for, right? So that's step one. You know that you need to hit this weight. Okay, you have to lose this much. Okay, so we know we have to use this much weight, and how do we start doing that, right? So this takes us into step two. This takes us into step two, tactics. Okay, and I'm gonna explain this difference between strategy, guys, and tactics. Strategy is really where you're putting all your time and effort into, right? That is what your strategy. You have limited time in the day, you have limited energy, you have limited capital, and you have to figure out where you're going to funnel it into, right? So right now you're going to funnel your efforts into losing weight and learning marketing, right? That's the strategy that I am presenting. And we'll get to the women here in a little bit because that plays into this tactics. So the first tactic, the easiest thing for anyone to do tactic-wise to lose weight. Actually, let me back up. What are these let me explain what the strategies are in terms of fitness. What is our actual effort in? So there's a big debate, is it hormones or calories that are determining how big you are? And I'm going to make the radical guess, and there's huge debates about this. And I'm going to take the crazy position that is both. You gotta eat smart within a calorie deficit, okay? Because there's three hormones that really hurt. There's cortisol, which is the stress hormone, okay? This is why 2 hours after you wake up, you're hungry. It's that hormone kicking in. So I also have a theory. It's actually why you get hungry a few hours working out. It isn't that your body needs nutrients. It's that you've put your body into such a stressful state from tearing muscle that a lot of cortisol was released. So cortisol is the first thing. The second thing is leptin. Leptin is like what moderates your hunger, your actual like when you're really hungry. And the last thing is insulin. And these three hormones affect your eating habits, right? So I really have a hard time understanding the relationship between insulin and calorie burn. I almost feel like when they say insulin, when the insulin's in your body and it's trying to remove the sugar, it almost sounds like they're saying it's like the alcohol. See, your body won't burn any calories from your fat reserves until all the alcohol is removed from your system. That when they say insulin, I almost feel like that's what they're saying in a manner of speaking. I'm not a doctor on this, but so our strategy is this, guys. We're trying to minimize these three bad hormones. They're not bad. We're just trying to make sure our system is not flooded with these three hormones, and we're trying to put ourselves in a calorie deficit. We're trying to do both. We're trying to do simultaneously both. And I think these particular tactics are in line with that strategy. So does that make sense? You're putting all your time and effort into in accomplishing these two goals: calorie deficit and keeping these hormones balanced and not flooding your system. So that is our strategy. And what we're doing, and these are the tactics. So the first one is fixing your sleep. And this combats the cortisol. Okay? Apparently your body, when it sleeps, it purges itself of cortisol. This is something that happens as you sleep. So sleeping, this is also why I think you get extraordinarily tired later on after working out. Maybe that day, maybe it's the next day. It's like you slept all day and you felt like you got no sleep. I feel like it's because your body was saturated with such cortisol that your body needed extra sleep to purge it. Okay? The other thing that sleep does is that you only repair the damages from lifting weights as you sleep. So that's literally when you're getting bigger, is sleep. And your body turns fat into energy as you sleep, right? So sleep is the literal vehicle that we are using to get to our goal. It's sleep. Sleep is the vehicle you are driving to your goal. Everything else, so like lifting weights is like the ignition that starts the vehicle. The eating right is the fuel, right? This is so important, right? So sleep, fixing your sleep is one. If I was at the end of this, I'll give you a thing. If I was 400 pounds, what would I do? But the first thing I would do if I was 400 pounds and I couldn't, and everything else was a struggle, just getting out of bed, is fix the sleep. I would make sure I'm getting 8 hours of sleep every night. That's the first thing. Okay? So that's the easiest. The second big thing, the second tactic, is just drink water. I'm gonna give the one caveat. If you do a workout in the morning and you want a protein shake after the workout, that's fine. But you get one shake. It must be moderately moderate amount of calories. I know I've seen shakes that are like 1,000 calories. That's not what I'm talking about. One shake, one shake, after the workout. Okay, the rest of the day it should be water, 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 water. Now, how much water should you be drinking? This is something else I've gotten from Alan Roberts. Okay, and he has a different way of wording this. So this is not how he would word it, but for every 2 pounds you weigh, you should drink 1 ounce of water. So if you were 400 pounds, you should drink 200 ounces. If you're 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces. Okay, water, 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 water. Okay, muscle is primarily made up of water. So muscle is really water and protein, right? So this water, I think, is the easiest thing to fix. Like I said, I'm listing these tactics from easiest to hardest, in my opinion. I mean, just water is so important. Also, in a study I read, about 19% of your calories come from what you drink. Okay, 18 to 20. Is that even right with the protein shake? I just thought about that. No, that's not quite right with the protein shake. But my protein shake doesn't even make up 10% of my... That's a good question. Either way, drinking just water will eliminate about 20% of your calories, okay? So just drink water, okay? Just drink the water. And a lot of your hydration can come from vegetables, okay? So broccoli, cauliflower, you can get water from that too. Green veggies. Some people say you shouldn't just drink water straight up. You should get it from your vegetables. I'm not sure what one's the best method. But water is super important, and just drinking it, like I said, will cut out about 20% of your calories. That's an easy hack. So just sleeping and drinking water. If you kept your diet, let's say you had Cokes, like 4 Cokes a day, hamburgers, the whole fucking thing, and you were really grossly overweight, and you kept everything the same except you fixed your sleep and you just drank water, you'd probably start noticing a weight loss, okay? So these are the first 2 tactics, and I think they're the easiest tactics. These are the easiest tactics to implement. So now we're going to enter play, and this is where I think things start getting interesting. Play. I have a rule: 90 minutes of play a day. Okay, so let me give you 5 things, 5 hobbies. What I want you to do is, if you got a piece of paper, I want you to think of 5 hobbies. Okay, and these are my hobbies. Or actually, this one hobby all men should have, or women. Number 1 hobby: sex. And we're gonna get back to that in a minute. And then I want you to think of 4 hobbies that get you to meet people. In the real world. And my 4 hobbies are swimming, Warhammer 40K, dog walks on the bike paths, and dancing, salsa dancing. Okay? Now, let's back up to the sex. This is a concept I do. I got this concept from Scotty. You should meet women at places you like to already be at. Okay? That was such a mind opening thing. Now he still goes out and stuff, but back in the day it was like, okay, I can only meet women in certain places at certain times. That's a nonsense approach. Scotty's approach, which I really like, it was a good mind shift, is that you can meet women anywhere. You can meet them in the grocery store. You can meet them. I think the hobbies are the best way. Because you are interacting with people already, and some of these people you are going to find hot, and some of these people are going to also find you hot, and this is a good way to meet girls, okay? Or if you're a girl, this is a good place to meet guys. I do swimming, I do Warhammer 40K, I walk the bike path with the dog, and I dance. This is my social life, okay? That's it, guys, okay? So that's probably the two things, like, I really want you to take away. Be result oriented and meet women or guys if you're a girl through hobbies. This is it. Because if you meet them through hobbies, then you already have common ground. Now, some people like really cold approach, like just go up to a stranger. That's cool too. Okay, that's totally acceptable. If that's what you find fun, remember this is having play, fun, then go do that. So, that's number 3. Now, the idea behind this, guys, is to synergize. You want to. So when I dance, I am burning calories, but I'm not thinking of it as a calorie burn. That's just a byproduct. I just want to dance. When I go jogging with the dog, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna burn all these calories. No, I just want to go on places with my dog. When I swim, I'm not thinking I'm burning all these calories. I'm just thinking water is sacred, and I want to put my body in the water and swim. That's it, right? So don't think of it necessarily as I need to do stuff that burns calories, though I would recommend it should do something. Volleyball, I used to do volleyball. They don't really do that anymore. Some of my friends do boxing. This is play, and I recommend you do 90 minutes a day. And a lot of people are like, oh man, I can't find the 90 minutes. Well, you got to. You got to find the 90 minutes. Even if it's waking up early. Even if you got to wake up 90 minutes early a day to get this done. I know some people who put their children to bed first and then go to the gym. Okay, so you might have to do it after all that nonsense. Because a lot of people use kids as their excuse. That's a shit excuse. That's a shit excuse. Okay. Some people like working. That's their fun, believe it or not. That's like Alex Mosley. So it doesn't. Don't use my suggestions. These are just what I like to do. Okay. But I would have, and even lifting weights for me, guys, I kind of think is play. So that kind of goes into it too. So there's a little bit of overlap. But these are just 5 things outside of that. So we got the first 3 steps. We know we gotta get sleep. We know we gotta drink water. We know we should add 90 minutes of play a day. We're really starting to build the foundations, implementing some healthy tactics. Step 4, which is what a lot of the stuff on this channel is lift weights. Okay, and we're gonna kind of go into this because this is where the bath mate and all that comes in. I consider that in the same category as lifting weights, kind of. I lift weights 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you need to lift weights with the goal of getting stronger. Okay, that should be your goal. That should be your goal. First thing first, we're going to talk about the get strong. You need to aim to get strong. Okay, you need to go buy a book or an app. I prefer a book, and you need to track your weights, and you need to be pushing every week either an extra rep or more weight. You need to be progressing. And I actually got this from Chuck Tanner, and this is based off Chuck Tanner, and I'm gonna give you guys some benchmarks for getting strong, right? So whatever the weight is you determined at the start of this video, like I need to be this much weight. We're going to go off the 200 pounds. So let's start off deadlifts. Deadlifts, you should be able to do twice the amount of your ideal weight. So I want to be 200 pounds, I should be able to do a 400 pound deadlift. Squats, twice the range, I should be able to do a 400 pound squat. Flat chest press, 1.5 my body weight, it's about 300 pounds. Incline chest press, 1, so about 200 pounds. Overhand barbell row, about 1. Underhand, because you're a little bit weaker, 0.75, so that'd be 150 pound. Shoulder press, that's a 0.75, so that's another 150. 10 pull-ups, 30 dips, or 30 push-ups. These are like the benchmarks you should be aiming for to be strong. You want to be strong. It's not about just losing weight, it's about being strong, okay? So that is what you need to aim for. Now there's a lot of people on the YouTubes that will give you exercise selection, how to perform these exercises better. That's not really what I'm here. I'm here to tell you that you just need to start lifting the weights. You got to lift the weights. Got to lift the weights. Okay. Um, Now, the second part of my lifting weights is actually the bath mate. I like to incorporate lifting weights with male enhancement. And my main device for male enhancement is the bath mate, okay? I did a whole video on the bath mate yesterday. It is the world's best water-based penis pump. It is phenomenal. Solid hard erections. My best, longest length in terms of erections right now is 7.25 inches long. Way more than what I thought. See, when I started, guys, my best erection was like 5.75 inches, around that. When I was really overweight, it was less than 5. I was so embarrassed, but as I lost weight, it's gotten way better. So 7.25 inches, that's about the best length I've gotten. That's like 100% erect. And I have a newbie routine that I recommend people. So if you get the bath mate, I suggest start with the 7-incher. This is the routine. You're going to do 5 minutes of warm-up. That's where you insert your penis in a bottle of water, warm to hot water, for 5 minutes. It will get the skin elastic. Then you're going to do 50 scrotum stretches. And then you're going to do 5 minutes of the bath mate, and you're going to kegel while you're in the bath mate. And a kegel is where you squeeze the internal bowel muscles, okay? And then you're going to repeat step 2 and 3 2 more times for a total amount of 15 minutes in the bath mate, okay? This is super important. I'm actually just got a video recorded of this. I'm going to be releasing it. I'm trying to figure out I can't put it on YouTube. I'm trying to find out another site I could put it on and figure out how to get you guys from there to the video without any complications, but I do have the video recorded. That's good. That's good to go. So, we're lifting weights, guys. We're doing male enhancement. And, this is kind of funny because sometimes they're like, well, what about girls or what else can they do? This doesn't sound weird. I seen my message or my talking of this subject seems to have resonated with girls more than it has with guys. I have, in the real world, convinced 6 girls to join the gym. I have convinced none of the guys to do it, and I do not understand why. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my personality. Who knows? In terms of male enhancement, there's generally two golden goals. One is, it seems to be like the dream goal to get an 8x6 penis. That's an 8-inch long penis with a 6-inch circumference. So it's like 2 inches thick about. That seems to be like the dream standard, that a lot of people go for. Some people go for 9x7. I've actually seen that become more popular over the years, recently. The other thing is, there's a part of male enhancement called edging. This is where you try to elongate your sexual stamina. And 5,000 strokes within an hour-ish seems to be the golden standard. I was doing an edging program, but right now I'm too busy at the time. It's just so much. So I'm trying to figure out when I can reincorporate that back. But there will be something in the future that we go into depth more here. Because we're already covering a lot of territory. The scheduled lifestyle I recommend is... The idea is that you do actually very little every day, right? Because like I said, basically I could break out my time like this: 2 hours of workout in the morning, 12 hours of marketing work, some house stuff, sleep, maybe, you know what I mean? And you do that for months on end, and then suddenly you are raking in all sorts of rewards, right? So it's it might seem complicated, but really we're just doing the same few things every day, okay? So that's what I really want to knock home for you guys. So we have the first 4 tactics. The 5th tactic, guys, and we're going to kind of... there's a lot of caveat in this, but it's really prioritizing protein. I mean, you could just eat meat and be fine. You could just eat meat and be fine. And how much meat you should eat is whatever your ideal, your goal weight is. So mine's is 200 pounds. I gotta eat 200 grams of protein per day. It's a lot of protein. And you should focus on getting all the protein in first, and then whatever's left over, you can put into carbs or a little bit more fat. Now, I'm not super anti-carb. I just don't think you should saturate your diet with it, okay? So, like the pastas, the Chinese food, the onion rings. I love fried food, guys, but the pizza puffs, the hamburger buns, the bread bowls, the crackers, the cereal. I think you should jettison 90% of that out of your diet and just stick to like mainly meat, some green fibrous vegetables, a little bit of rice, a little bit of oats if you want it, like it. Maybe a fruit a day, one piece of fruit a day, if you're not grossly overweight. But really prioritize the protein. Get the protein in first. Protein. Okay? And then anything left over you can fill out, right? But we want to be in a calorie deficit. Most people don't need more food. Most people need less food. Okay? And that's really it, right? And no snacking. Snacking's bad. I suggest 2 to 3 meals a day. That minimum. Really, like, how to put it? If I had my dream goal, I would eat at 10 and 4. I don't like eating past 4 o'clock because it keeps me up all night. But I would try to eat as little as you can. Okay, it really, how to put it? I would try to have like. It doesn't matter if it's dinner or lunch. So let me put it like this. Let's say you have a really, really big lunch. I would have like a bowl of soup for dinner. Or maybe you reverse it. Maybe you're like, I want the bowl of soup for lunch, and then I'll have a really big dinner, right? But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't like big meal, like 3 big meals a day. I think that's a little asinine. Another thing I would really put on is if you want to go. I know some people just do like a 1 meal a day thing, and I've done that. Sometimes I have like a 24-hour fast, or I eat just 1 meal a day occasionally. What I found that works is the later you can eat in the day, the better that works. So 2 o'clock you have your 1 meal, or 3 o'clock, or even better 4 o'clock. And the reason is I find that I really get hungry at lunch, or like I should say, I really get to the point at lunch where I'm like famished. But dinner is a different story. I always find like dinner for me is a more difficult thing. Like if I didn't eat lunch, I definitely have to have a dinner, right? The only time I find I can skip dinner is if I had a really, really late lunch. Does that make sense? So like I feel like if you're gonna do the one meal a day approach, which I know a lot of people have done really well on, and like I said, I occasionally throw some of those days in. I found that eating at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, sometime in that time frame, helps because you're not hungry for dinner, so you can go to bed relatively satisfied, and you wake up, and yeah, there you go. So these are the tactics, right? These are the tactics that actually move you from point A to point B, right? So that's step 2. And like I said, there's a lot in step 2, guys. Step 2 is really where it's at. Step 2 is like the action to take, right? Now, step 3 is having realistic expectations. This is where a lot of people live and die at. This is where a lot of people just die at. Okay, so let me give you some. Let me explain something, a concept. It's called the gap. Okay, and this is why people die at this step. This is like the most crucial step. This is why I put it last. Let me explain what the gap is. So the gap is this. It kind of goes back to that time and effort mentality, which I really want us to break away from. People, but if you have a time and effort, okay, so if you have time and effort, like mentality, time and effort mentality, you're going to put time and effort into something, okay? It might not be weight loss, it might be other things, but we're going to use the weight loss. So you're going to put all this time and effort in, and you're expecting this to happen. You're expecting this to happen, okay? But really what happens is this occurs. So there's a gap, right? That's why it's called the gap. There's a gap between what you thought would occur and what actually did occur. And some people get depressed about the gap, and then let's say you get depressed and you eat like a whole fucking cheesecake, and the gap widens. Now you're further from your goal, okay? So that's why you have to have really realistic expectations. Because if there is a gap, you want to overachieve. You don't want to underachieve. You want to overachieve. And the most realistic thing I got was from Alan Roberts. And he said that you should aim to lose 0.5% a week of weight. So, if you're 240, that's around like a pound, 1.2 pounds. So, in a week at 240, by the end of in 1 week, you should be 238.8. Just rough. I don't have my calculator in front of me, but just a rough throw out, and then that's it. So you just whatever your weight is. Let's just say Friday is your weigh day. Like your weigh day. Whatever your weight is Friday, times it by 0.995. It will give you a new weight. That's your goal for the week. And you might be like, oh, I can easily. Don't think of easy or this or that. Just go for it. If you overachieve, great. If you underachieve by a little, you'll probably be close. And like, oh, I was close. Okay. It's when people like, I'm gonna lose like 5, 4, 6 pounds a week, and they fall short. And don't say I'm gonna be this weight in like 6 months. And this is why I say don't do that. Because at one time you do have to have a deadline, right? Which actually, let me get to that. You should have a deadline. So my deadline is to be 200 pounds by next Memorial Day, right? Summer's over. I gotta go back on the diet. The fun season's over. So I'm aiming to be 200 pounds Memorial Day next year. Just in time for some. And I gotta do this by point, and I'm just gonna take it week by week by week by week by week. And it'll probably go, you'll probably get, on some weeks, you might get a 1%. Some weeks you might get, you might just barely hit the 5.5%. Some weeks you might get 0.75%, right? You're gonna have better weeks. You're gonna have some weeks that over exceed, but just aim for the 0.5% a week. Okay, that's one. And avoid the gap. You gotta avoid the gap because that gap will kill you. And then the last thing is I call it. Okay, so a lot of people wonder how I actually weigh myself. So I want to be clear. I weigh myself daily, but I do not. What I'm doing is I am taking the average over 7 days. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm not looking at that as a hard, because I could drink like 5 bottles of water. Like I could drink 5 bottles of water before bed and wake up like 13 pounds heavier the next day. I know I didn't put on 13 pounds of fat. Okay, I know that. It's just I drank a lot of water and it's still in my system. So you don't want that to be the thing that puts you down. So what I do is every day I weigh myself, and then I take the average. And how you take averages is you add up. So let's say I weighed myself every day for 7 days. You add those numbers all up. You divide that by 7. That will give you an accurate weight. Okay. And then when I move on to day 8 of my weigh-ins, I just cross it off. So I always have 7 days worth of weights recorded. And once like I said, I just keep the average. So really when I'm trying to lose 0.5% a week on the average. That's actually what I'm trying to do. But I find taking the average weight over 7 days gets me a far more accurate look of what I actually weigh than a once a week weigh-in. Because I've had In the past, I've had days where I weighed myself on Friday. I'm like, oh my god, I'm 4 pounds heavier. What the fuck? And then like I just snuck in a weight on Saturday morning, and I'm like 6 pounds lighter now. You know what I mean? So weight can fluctuate. That's why I like the. That's why I like the. Oh, that's why I like the average. What it is over the average um, week. So that is the 3-step process, and we have really covered a lot of ground, guys. So let's just kind of review. Actually, so we talked about setting the goal by using the health chart. We talked about the 5 tactics, which is get sleep, drink water, play, lift weights, prioritize protein. And then we talked about step 3 was setting realistic expectations for each week. These are the 3 steps to getting the 6-pack and better erection. Okay. Now, I had a fun thought earlier. And if I was 400 pounds, where would I start? If I was 400 pounds, where would I start with all this? So, I'm 400 pounds. I can barely walk. Where's the starting point? Because some people feel really down, like I just can't even get started. First, I would get my sleep fixed, okay? And then I would just start drinking water. I would jettison the pop. I would jettison the juice. I would jettison the milk. I would jettison any drink that had calories, okay? Yeah, at this point, you shouldn't even be drinking protein shakes. Jettison that all. Just the water. Drink the water, and don't add more food in. Keep the food the same, but just drink water and get your 8 hours of sleep in. Okay, that's gonna start making slight better changes. I would, for the 3rd tactic, for fun, I would try to do 30-minute walks every other day. In fact, I'd do some physical activity. You're gonna go to the gym 3 times a day, and then the other 4 days you're gonna just do 30-minute walks, okay? And at the gym, you're not gonna do any complicated. You're not gonna do any like chest presses. You're not gonna do any squats. You're not gonna do push-up. No. You're gonna find a bench. You're gonna sit down on that bench, and you're gonna just do bicep curls. I would just have you start with bicep curls, some shrugs, some tricep overhead extensions, and then some lateral raises. Right? You're gonna hit the shoulders, traps, and arms. Right? Shoulders, traps, and arms. That's gonna be you're gonna do that 3 times a week. Right? We're just starting the process. Right? Okay, because right now we just gotta get you moving, okay? And I would do that until you lost 100 pounds. Swimming would be another good option. Alan Roberts suggested that. I did that even though when I wasn't anywhere near 400 pounds, but when I was really came out of COVID, and he said, do some swimming, I looked for a gym with a pool, and I joined the gym with a pool, just on that piece of advice. So swimming would be a good one. 30-minute walks, 30-minute swims, and just do some arm, shoulders, and trap exercises because you're sitting down with the dumbbells. No machines, nothing dangerous, and that's where I would start. And then eating, this is probably where it gets a little harder. I would just slowly. I would find what food is just addictive, and I would get rid of that, right? So let's say you love, actually I would take that back. I would start with just cutting breakfast. If you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're 400 pounds, get rid of breakfast, okay? And then you're gonna start losing, and as long as you're not making up for it at lunch, but keep your lunch and dinners the same, is what I'm saying, and you'll start losing weight, and you're gonna start shaving pounds, okay? And once you get a good understanding of how this works, I would actually try to eat maybe once every other day. I mean, if you're that heavy, you could get away with it. It might be uncomfortable. Maybe you do 2 days where you have just lunch and dinner, and then every on the third day you do you skip a lunch or you skip the dinner, and you slowly were learning how to fast. Right, I would learn how to basically fast and really start trying to just eat protein. And it will be a battle, and there will be pitfalls, but I would wrestle with it. And then once you get to 300 pounds, I'd really start thinking about more serious weightlifting. At that point, that would be how I would tackle it. But you don't want to do nothing that you're gonna get hurt on. So no jumping, nothing that you nothing that you can get pinned on. Just stuff of that nature. Okay, so that is the overall, and I wouldn't even worry about. You can get a bath mate, but I don't want to worry about it quite yet. So this would be where I would start the journey. This is where I would start the journey. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We have covered a lot, guys. So I want to end this with a real simple thing. What to do next? What to do next? And I think there's 3 things that you should do. 3 things you should do. Step 1, go buy a notebook. I know there's a lot of apps out there, but I like notebooks because you can just write shit down. Get a notebook. And this is gonna be your gym notebook, and you're gonna travel with it everywhere. It's gonna go everywhere with you. You're gonna write down meals you had. You're gonna write down what you did for physical activity. You're gonna write down good and bad thoughts you had. You're gonna write down, I thought this girl was cute. You're gonna write down everything in it. It's gonna be your life. It's gonna be your life, guys. You're gonna go for the journal. So that's step 1. Have the journal. Have the journal. Step 2 is I would join a gym. I would go find a gym with a pool. I think that's a hack. I think it's a wonderful, fun activity. So go find a pool, gym with a pool. Okay. And just start doing the basic arm exercises. Something you can sit on a bench and do. Don't do anything where you can fall or you're just trying to get started. So that's 2. And 3, if you feel like you are healthy enough and in a position to do, then get the bath mate. I have links down in the description below. Click it and give it a whirl, because that's what we're building here. We're building this all together. So that's it, guys. That's tonight's episode, and I'm glad you joined here, and I will see you all on the next video. Later.